Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers told me that a popular comics YouTube channel mentioned my channel and my tribute to Mark D. Bright about a week ago. And with that mention of my channel, I have to wonder how many of these popular comic YouTube channels know about not only my channel, but know about my background. Because a couple of months ago, one of my Facebook friends told me that they had been following me on my blog, Shawn James Black Freelance Writer, since 2012, and I remember seeing many links in my traffic when I was doing my blog to comicbookresources.com in one section of a message board, and people were oftentimes talking about many of my comic blogs when I was out here writing blogs on the regular. And that really has me wondering how many people in the industry know about Shawn James and my background as a writer. I mean, I have aspired to be a comic book writer for ever since I was a teenager, and I'm wondering how many people in the business know about me and know about my background. Because I'm wondering this because if this prominent comics YouTuber knew about my background as related to the video I did about Mark D. Bright, and many people on social media know about my background as related to my blogs for years, I'm wondering why I never ever got contacted for a writing job, because I've made it clear in my blogs from the beginning when I talked about being from living in a long time ago in a ghetto far, far away, that I always wanted to be a comic book writer, and the only time I ever got contacted about a job was from Dynamite Comics on their Twitter, and after I sent them a letter, I haven't heard a single thing. Now, what's really interesting to me is that as we've had this whole narrative of social justice going on for the last 10 years as related to these comic book culture wars, I have never gotten an email from any other comic company outside of Dynamite Comics, and I haven't heard a single thing from any other comic book company. And you would think that all of these comic book companies, when they talked about diversity and inclusion, would have gone to a seasoned writer like myself and contacted me. I mean, they were contacting all of these so-called writers from Tumblr and all of these other microblogging sites, but I was a guy who not only had a blog where I was writing blogs ever since about 2007 to about 2020 or so, and I had been writing 3 blogs a week. Not to mention the 3 blogs a week, I was also writing multiple books, and even in 2012 had started doing series work such as the Isis series after writing a series of blogs talking about how I would write certain comic book characters. I would think that with all of this chatter about me, somebody from one of these comic companies, an editorial, would have contacted me about getting some sort of work or another offer to submit a sample, but I haven't heard a single thing from any of these comic book publishers, and that's really making me scratch my head as related to this entire business. I mean, I'm already showing people that I have a background of being able to produce work consistently and regularly, and I'm also showing a background of having experience not only in novel writing, but also in writing screenplays and writing comic books as well, because I've posted samples of my scripts up on my blog, and it's been up there for years. So people have an understanding of my style of writing and my style of work, but I haven't heard a single thing from any comic company. And that's just very interesting to me because people say, oh, they went out here and they would hire writers like Vita Ayala, who clearly, from my looking at her work on Static, was unqualified. Or you get a guy like Ta-Nehisi Coates on Black Panther, who really showed how he didn't have a sense of that character. But meanwhile, I'm out here producing consistent work on books like The Temptation of John Haynes, novels like The Thetas, books like the Isis, Esteem, and even later on the John Haynes series, and even showing range as a writer when I wrote the entire Spinsterella trilogy backwards, and then went on to even start writing nonfiction like The Man Crisis and books like Stop Simpin'. I mean, I'm showing a background where I'm showing that I have skills as a writer, but I don't understand why none of these comic companies ever contacted me for a job, but went out here and contacted writers who were just absolutely terrible and produced some of the worst comics in the history of modern comics. I mean, these people were basically put on payroll, and here I am, a guy who's showing that with an independent publishing company that he can produce titles on the regular and can produce work on a monthly basis. Again, showing that I have the background and qualifications to do this job based on merit, like the man who was one of my role models, Mark D. Bright, and the late great Dwayne McDuffie. But nobody wants to, again, contact Shawn James, and I find that very interesting overall. I mean, here I am producing consistent work on the regular for myself on my own SJS Direct imprint. And again, I just found it interesting. People knew about me for years, but never ever sought to contact me outside of Dynamite. I just found that to be interesting overall. I mean, even with comics that I did like Esteem No Good Deed and the whole John Haynes at Death's Door, I show that I can produce work regularly, consistently, and I just, again, find it puzzling I never have been contacted by any of these companies. Now, I know I have been critical of companies like Marvel and DC, but I'm critical of them, and again, many comics YouTubers are critical of them because we want better quality, and I want to bring my best quality like I do on my SJS Direct books. I always try to bring my best to the table. Even in the hand-drawn covers days, I tried to bring my very best to the table, and I again want to bring that to, I wanted to bring that to many of these comic companies, and I just found that to be interesting. And what I also found to be interesting is that many of these if there are comics YouTubers watching my channel, I'm wondering what happened to all of those people when I had the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter going. I mean, in 2022, I launched the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter, and I let people know for months on end that that Kickstarter was going on, and I showed people previews of the art, and I'm wondering what happened to comics YouTube. I mean, it's like everybody disappeared. I mean, as related to the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter, I mean, I sit there and I had to go, I'm wondering where everybody was because I had to go to the black grassroots in order to get that comic funded, but comics YouTube basically disappeared and haven't been found. I mean, I wonder where all of those people were, because if I had the fan base that Eric July had, I mean, I could have been able to make more comics and hire more people and maintain a quality and a standard with SJS Direct and really produce comics that people say that they want, because a lot of people say you want quote-unquote non-woke comics, or non, as I call it, comics from an inexperienced. You don't want comics from inexperienced writers. You want somebody with experience, and I showed a lot of my experience with John Haynes at Death's Door, and John Haynes at Death's Door got a lot of positive reviews from a lot of people, including Kevin Grievu, the creator of Marvel Comics, Blue Marvel. I mean, people really gave me a lot of positive feedback on John Haynes at Death's Door, but I haven't heard anything from Comics YouTube. And again, I found that to be quite puzzling. I mean, here I am out here producing quality work consistently, and while people are having their comics culture war and making their videos, when you have a black man out here producing consistent quality work, none of it is ever mentioned. And again, just puzzles me because, again, it's been shown that people know who I am, know what I'm about, know what my mission is, know that I've had a goal of becoming a comic writer, and have been working at it as I've been working on my whole fantasy fiction on the SJS Direct Universe and my nonfiction and other fiction. I mean, these companies are here, they're struggling and they're suffering, and here's a guy who goes out here and not only has experience as a publisher and a writer, but also has some skills as a marketer. This was what I wanted to offer companies like Dynamite, because when I go out and not only make videos, I also make video ads like I do for my own books, and I also do live streams, which allow me to have a personal interaction with the customer. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people who meet me in the street. And again, that would have created good buzz for one of these companies to have a person out there being an ambassador to the business, that would connect you with a regular person who would be there to connect people with the characters and the stories, and do stuff that would get people excited about comics. Again, you would think you would want to hire this kind of guy, but people haven't heard a thing. I mean, I'm a guy who goes out and is so passionate about comics that I not only go out here and promote my own work, but I've promoted the work of many great indie comic creators, helping to get the word out about their books, helping to get the word out about their products. Again, I understand that there's more to comics than just writing as a publisher myself. I understand that there's a whole marketing part of it, there's a whole target audience part of it, and there's a whole engagement part of it where you have to engage the audience. That's what the live streams are about. That's what the videos are all about, because people are not just buying a comic, they're buying a person, they're getting to know a person. This is what I know from my over 2 decades of experience as a writer and my over 10 years as a publisher. And as a writer and a publisher who has gone out here and gotten over 2 million hits on a blog, and gotten out here and built up a channel of 17,000 subscribers. I mean, you would think you would want to go out here and say, I want to go out here and get this guy for a comic project, because at least he's building a base, he's got a following. But when I look at these comic companies, they have basically, again, looked like they have just ignored me for years, and it just puzzles me, because you would think that I'm the kind of guy that they would want to go out here and hire based on the merits of qualifications. Again, I mean, here's a guy who's going out here and built a following, had people for years following his blogs, and even went out here was selling books, again, regular books. You would think you want to build that base and have that guy selling your comics on YouTube and getting people excited with things like live streams, getting people excited with content that gets people excited. But it just has me scratching my head. I mean, it's clear that people in the comic circles know about me and have known about me for years, but I've wondered where was all the support. I mean, people could have gone out here and made John Haynes at Death's Door as big as Isom, or made it as big as the Jawbreakers. I mean, I'm wondering what happened to all the people. I mean, if you know about me, then why aren't people going out here and supporting the work? I mean, that's the critical question I'm asking, and I'm asking that question as I'm out here continuing to promote and get my work out, and I'm still trying to raise money to get my next comic out. I'm wondering what happened to all of these folks. I mean, what happened to all of these folks in comics? I mean, where are all these folks in comics? I mean, if you know about me, you'd read my work, check my work out. I mean, I would think that somebody would have made an offer. I mean, I would like to think I'm a better writer than Vita Ayala or Mags Visaggio or any of these people they've hired for their so-called social justice comics. And from the work I've done, I've produced far better material than them. So I'm wondering, where is everybody? Because I'm here ready to do the work. And when it comes to comics, I'm wondering where everybody is as related to Shawn James and looking to work with Shawn James on comics. Now, if you want to pick up my first comic that I did digitally, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up my first full 32-page comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on Lulu.com in paperback for the same price as a 22 Kickstarter by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to check out a lot of the action-packed fantasy fiction of the SJS Direct Universe, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my black vampire novel, The Eternal Night, my black sorority novel, The Thetas, and my black business novel, A Recipe for Success, and my screenplay books and nonfiction books. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can find many of them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at Lulu.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft to Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.